Today, we are showing you the ultimate California coast itinerary. In this video, we will stop at a town ripped straight out of a 19th century Clint Eastwood Western. We arrive at Pismo Beach, totally unprepared for California's most notorious weather phenomenon. We also explore the rich 18th century history, hiding in plain sight in San Luis Obispo. In this 4K travel guide, we're showing you exactly where to stop and how to navigate the infamous coastal marine layer. Welcome to Santa Ynez. Walking down these streets is surreal. It honestly feels like you've wandered onto an active movie set. The architecture here is strictly 1880s Western. We're talking false front building facades, authentic wooden boardwalks that echo when you step on them, and deep, earthy, burntwood colors that give the whole town a rugged, historic grit. Right in the heart of this area, you'll find an incredible juxtaposition of culture. On one side, you have the Maverick Saloon, a legendary, unfiltered honky-tonk famous for live country music, cold beer, and line dancing. But then, right next door, sits Trattoria Grappolo, an unexpectedly phenomenal Italian restaurant, pouring world-class local wines. We parked and took a walk further up the road to the Santa Ynez Valley Historical Museum and the Parks Janeway Carriage House. If you want to understand how the West was built, this is the place. It costs about $7 to enter, and it is usually open Wednesday through Sunday from noon to 4 p.m. Inside, it is a treasure trove of California's pioneer history. The carriage house specifically features the Coastline Stage Company, showcasing massive, beautifully preserved stagecoaches that used to thunder across these very valleys. After the museum, we just wandered. This part of town is fascinating. The modern boutiques, Sadler is selling custom leather gear, and local wine tasting rooms are all disguised behind these incredible vintage Western storefronts. Santa Ynez isn't a sprawling city. It is a small township. And the old town center, the part that looks like a Clint Eastwood movie, is even more intimate. It's a concentrated historical district that you can easily walk in under 20 minutes. We left the cowboy country behind and pushed west toward the ocean to reach Pismo Beach. Now, here is the reality of the Central Coast. Inland, it was a beautiful, sunny 8 degrees Celsius. But the second we stepped out at the Pismo Beach Pier, we were swallowed by the cold. The scenery, the massive pier, the ocean, it was all smothered under a thick, chilly blanket of fog. guide tip. This is the famous California marine layer. It happens when the freezing waters of the Pacific Ocean collide with the warm air, pushing over the inland mountains. In the summer, Pismo is famous for June gloom. Foggy, freezing mornings that eventually burn off into spectacular, sunny afternoons. In the winter, you actually get crisper, clearer days, though the air stays chilly. But don't worry, the fog does clear off from time to time and allows for a perfect view of the surrounding. And we're experiencing just that right now. Geographically, we are sitting right on the coast of San Luis Obispo County, perfectly situated halfway between Los Angeles and San Francisco. It's incredibly easy to reach, right off the iconic U.S. Highway 101. Gradually, as we walked across the diamond-shaped pier plaza, the sun did its job. The fog began to tear apart, and the weather cleared out beautifully. The views from this pier on a clear day are endless. But first, allow me to give you a little context on where we are standing. This massive wooden structure stretches exactly 1,200 feet out into the Pacific Ocean, making it one of the longest in California. The original commercial wharf in this area was built way back in 1881, but the first recreational pier in this exact spot went up in 1924. Over the decades, it took an absolute beating from massive winter storms. So what you're looking at now is a stunning 2018 rebuild, featuring these wide, beautiful, diamond-shaped viewing decks that we are walking on right now. And the town sitting right behind us has a wild history of its own. Founded in the late 1800s by a pioneer named John Price, the name Pismo actually comes from a Native American Chumash word, pismu, which means tar, something that naturally seeps from the ocean floor here. But what really put this town on the map? Clams. For decades, Pismo Beach was famously crowned the clam capital of the world. Up until the 1980s, people used to drive their cars right onto the sand and harvest tens of thousands of massive, thick-shelled Pismo clams every single day. We look out and see dozens of black dots bobbing in the water. They are surfers. You can absolutely swim and surf here. It is one of the most popular breaks on the coast. But unless you have a high-quality wetsuit, you aren't staying in that 13 degrees Celsius water for long. We soaked soaked in the sun and the views, but the coast is unpredictable. Suddenly, another massive bank of fog started to draw near, physically obstructing the view of the water and dropping the temperature in minutes. Today, Pismo is famous for preserving that classic, nostalgic 1950s California beach town vibe. It's known for the incredible Oceano dunes just south of here. It is one of the only places in the state where you can legally drive ATVs right on the beach. And an amazing grove of eucalyptus trees that thousands of monarch butterflies migrate to every winter. As the fog got thicker and the weather got colder, that was our cue to leave. Pismo Beach is a quintessential California beach town located along the central coast in San Luis Obispo County. It serves as a popular midway point for travelers, driving between Los Angeles and San Francisco. The town is famous for its long, walkable shoreline, and inside its 13 square miles, you will find approximately 8,000 residents. There's a great little surf town here, but we didn't have time to stop. We had to beat the sunset to our next destination. A short 15-mile drive north brought us into the heart of San Luis Obispo, or SLO, as the locals call it. Nestled among a chain of ancient volcanic peaks known as the Nine Sisters, this city of roughly 47,000 people is routinely ranked as one of the happiest towns in America. We checked in our hotel and walked right into the Old Town Center. It wasn't overly crowded, the coastal fog was gone, and it was just perfectly warm and walkable. Our first stop was the absolute foundation of the city, Mission San Luis Obispo de Tolosa. Founded in 1772 by Spanish Franciscan priest Junipero Serra, this building is the very reason the town exists. It was built as a foothold for the Spanish Empire and to convert the local Native American Chumash population. To understand SLO, you have to understand the mission. So let's go inside, and I'll tell you more. In the late 1700s, the Spanish Empire was racing to settle California before the Russians or British could claim it. They built a chain of 21 missions, a mission trail, and San Luis Obispo was the fifth one established. Stepping inside the church, you're struck by the architecture. Unlike most missions, this one features a unique L-shaped design to accommodate the growing congregation centuries ago. Behind the church, we stepped into the mission gardens. Originally created by the Padres and Native Americans to grow grapes, olives, and sustaining crops, Today is a lush, shaded sanctuary. If the church is the soul of this place, the gardens are its lungs. This courtyard was originally the center of a massive, self-sustaining community. These gardens were once filled with rows of the very first wine grapes ever planted in this region. The ancestors of the world-famous Edna Valley wines you can taste, just a few miles away today. In one prominent corner of the plaza, you'll find the mission bells. These aren't the originals. The first bells were cast in Peru in 1818. But these replicas hold the same weight in history. The bells were coded signals. One rhythm meant a wedding, another a funeral, and a frantic, rapid tolling alerted the entire valley to a fire or an incoming ship on the coast. Adjoining the church and the gardens is the Mission Museum, housed within the original convento wing, where the Padres once lived. This isn't a modern, sterile gallery. Instead, it's a series of intimate rooms with thick adobe walls that naturally muffle the sounds of the modern city outside. The story told here is a layered one. Beginning long before the Spanish arrived, you'll find an extensive collection of artifacts from the Chumash people, the original inhabitants of this Valley of the Bears. The level of craftsmanship in their woven willow baskets and soapstone carvings is incredible. These were a people deeply connected to the land and sea. As you move deeper into the museum, the era shifts to the Mission period. You'll see the actual tools used to build this city from the ground up. Heavy iron agricultural machinery, blacksmithing bellows, and early woodworking planes. But it's the personal items that really grab you. Look up at the ceiling. Those massive wooden beams, or vigas, were hand-hewn from local timber and hauled here by oxen. The walls are decorated with simple but elegant floral patterns. These aren't wallpaper. They are frescoes painted by hand, using pigments derived from local minerals and plants. We left the quiet of the church and continued our walk, turning onto Palm Street to explore Slo's Chinatown. You might wonder why there's a Chinatown in this Central Coast town. In the late 1800s, Chinese immigrants were the backbone of the workforce, brought in to physically build the Pacific Coast Railway and work the local mines. While much of it has faded, you can still feel the history in the architecture and the remaining historic businesses. Just up the street from there sits the San Luis Obispo Repertory Theater. Founded back in 1947, this intimate venue was built to bring high-quality, live community theater to the Central Coast, and it is still putting on incredible plays today. It was originally founded as a little theater project by a group of passionate locals who wanted to bring Broadway-caliber storytelling to this rural stretch of the coast. The area immediately surrounding the theater is a blend of different eras. If you're a fan of architecture, keep your eyes peeled for the old City Hall nearby. Built in the 1950s, it's a perfect example of mid-century modern design that somehow managed to harmonize with the 1772 Mission just a block away. This is a true architectural masterpiece. The Fremont Theater. It is incredibly famous around here. Opened in 1942, this sprawling Art Deco theater looks like a neon palace. It holds about 900 people and serves as a premier venue for both classic movie screenings and major live concerts. Depending on who is playing, a ticket here will run you anywhere from $20 for a film to $80 or more for a live band. By now, we were starving, and there was only one place to go: Firestone Grill. This place is massive, loud, and constantly packed. The interior is a massive sports bar with exposed brick and high rafters. Exhausted but completely satisfied, we walked back to our accommodation, the Apple Farm Inn. This place is stunning. It is famous for perfectly capturing Victorian charm. The rooms have cozy fireplaces and canopy beds, and the grounds are immaculately kept. Outside, they have a beautiful heated pool, but the crown jewel of the property is a massive 14-foot fully functional historic watermill. It spins beautifully in the creek, milling flour just like they did in the 19th century. If there is one key takeaway from today, it's this: do not rush the coast. The magic of California is in the details. The wooden boardwalks of Santa Ynez, the dramatic, shifting fog of Pismo, and the 250-year-old adobe walls of San Luis Obispo. But our journey is far from over. Next week, we are heading further north on the ultimate stretch of Highway 1. We are taking you to the most breathtaking stops on the way to Carmel by the Sea. Make sure to hit subscribe, and we will see you on the road.